What's going on, people? Hope all is well tonight. We got my brother right here, speaker. He's going to share his experience, strength, and hope what the 12-step fellowship did in his life and where he's at, where he was, and where he's at today. And I figured I'd just share somebody with y'all so y'all can identify. It's been one hell of a month, man, to me. I don't know if you can identify with all this coronavirus and all this stuff going on out in the world, bro. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So I'm going to pray you in, and then I'm going to let God take over, man, do his work.
Absolutely.
Our Lord Almighty God, I just want you to work through my brother right here and use him as a tool, as a message of hope, as a vision of hope, Lord God, just to touch that one sick and suffering addict that is struggling in the grips of active addiction right now, and the people that are struggling clean and using against their will, and the people that's just struggling with this coronavirus without patience and whatever they're going through. Allow him just to get honest, transparent, and vulnerable tonight. And if he struggles with any low self-esteem, low self-worth, or lack of confidence, that you just lift that off him. We are blessed men in recovery. Amen. Go ahead, bro. Inspirational freestyle recovery. Go ahead, bro.
All right. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate you, brother. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse S. I'm from Marion, Ohio. My clean date is 6/10/17. Gives me a little over 34 months clean. I'm a star. I don't like, look, we're all addicts. We all know how to use, but I'm going to let you know why I earned my seat here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there, but I'm going to let you know I qualify. All right. So, it all started for me when I was a little kid, man. I was like 5. My mom's liked to drink. You know, I'd always see her drinking bottles and stuff around the house that she had hidden. So, you know, just being an inquisitive little kid, I just went and seen what mama liked. I just started off with a couple sips or whatever, but that was enough. You know what I mean? I was just a baby. But it made me feel weird, you know, and then by age 6, you know, I was drinking out these bottles every day, you know, sipping, just feeling a little woozy or whatever, and go on play and have fun, laughing and whatever. By age 6, my mom got with a very abusive man. She was with him for 7 years. All right, this man mentally, physically, and emotionally abused me every day of my life for 7 years. I learned real quick that if I got into that bottle before he got home, it hurt less. It didn't bother me so much. So by the age 9, you know, I was smoking cigarettes. I was drinking every day. I started using other substances like marijuana and stuff. You know, by 12, I was into my mom's prescription medicines. 13, I was using hallucinogens. You know, and I'm gonna just let everybody know right now, I cannot share my story in chronological order, so I'm gonna bounce all the fucking way around because that's how my brain works. You know, I'm everywhere, so I'm gonna bounce here and drop back and hit the middle. I'm all over the place. But anyway, by 13, you know, I was using heavy substances like hallucinogens and stuff. Plus, I was still using the alcohol and the marijuana and everything else I could get a hold of, the pain pills. By 16, I was heavily addicted to cocaine, crack. I've done heroin. I tried everything that was out there by the age of 18. You know what I mean? I had used every drug that I could possibly get my hands on. And I continued to use from the age of 5 all the way to the age of 32. Okay, so that was 27 years of use. I was stuck in active addiction from a decision that a 5-year-old little boy made. You know, and that's just the sad truth of the reality. Being in addiction, I didn't face anything. I used people. I beat people up for no reason. I figured out at a very young age, by like 13, you know, I started realizing that if I hooked up with certain people, that I could make these deals and these moves and I could get high for free. You know, so I started middleman and some stuff. And then I started being a dope boy, you know what I mean? But I was pretty, it was a pretty profitable, successful business for me for a long time, until at the end of my addiction, I was my own best customer. You know, that's when everything went downhill. And I was holding people hostage in my house. Like if they showed up and I didn't have what they wanted, I wouldn't let them leave my house until I got their money. Like they had to sit there for hours waiting on me to get what they wanted, so that way I could have their money. That's just how sick I was. And it didn't matter. And I don't, not only was I addicted to alcohol and drugs and anything, but I was addicted to women, sex, cash, spending money, all that stupid shit that I thought was going to make me happy, that I was trying to use to fill this void. It didn't work. None of it worked. You know, it just, I still felt empty. I was numb. I couldn't feel anything. The only two emotions that I could actually identify was anger and rage. And that's all I knew my whole life. You know, for 27 years, that's all I knew. I faked being happy. I never really laughed. I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. You know, March 21st, 2017, my house was raided, and my 4 children that I had full custody of was taken from me. That was my rock bottom, but I couldn't quit using. That's why my clean date isn't until June. You know, I quit using all this, but couldn't stop using that. So I kept using, I kept, you know, whatever. I went through all the court proceedings and everything. You know, Children's Services told me I wasn't going to get my kids back unless I stopped smoking marijuana, because I didn't feel that was a drug. I was one of them people. Oh, that isn't a drug. And I was prescribed the medications. So I was like, oh, I'm prescribed, but I was still abusing them. I wasn't taking them as prescribed. I was buying extra ones off the street, so that way I could, you know what I mean, try to get right. So I was still trying to play the system at that point in time. I actually came to NA. I went to my first NA meeting, and you know, thought I was clean because I was just taking my prescription medicines and smoking some weed, and that wasn't a drug, of course. So I claimed 90 days clean time. I did the 90 and 90, but I claimed 90 days clean time that I didn't really have. Yeah. Okay. And everybody knew I was coming to, I wasn't fooling nobody. We all addicts. We know when we're lying and people's high. Okay. So everybody just kept loving me though. They kept telling me to come back, kept giving me hugs, kept telling me I was welcome. I was home, you know, keep coming back. And that made me feel something I ain't never felt before. You know, I felt accepted somewhere finally. Like the first meeting, I had people come up and give me a hug, and they was like, welcome home, brother, keep coming back. And I'm like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to? Like, you want me to come back here in this church? All right, I'm gonna do that. Because when I first walked in them rooms, I seen everybody smiling and laughing and having a great time. And I was thinking, damn, what drug are they on? Because there ain't no way they're that happy without drugs, okay? You're a fucking lunatic if you're that happy without drugs. So I kept coming back so I could figure out what the secret handshake was, where the passcode was, the secret time we really met up, so we could get right before the meeting. And I actually, you know, just kept coming back, listening. 90 days. I already had a home group. I asked this guy to be my sponsor. He still is my sponsor. But I talked to him after, you know, because I was all excited, just got my 90-day key tag and stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, I got 90 days clean. You know, I used to do this, and that. And now I just do this and this. And he started laughing at me. I was like, man, what's funny? You know, dude had 22 years clean. And I'm like, what's funny? And he's like, you ain't clean, little you ain't clean, bro. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, so he had to break it down to me. And it ended up blowing my mind that any mind-altering and mood-altering substance was a drug. So therefore, you know, everything I was doing was a drug. So I then immediately quit smoking the marijuana, smoking everything, you know, and came back for 180 and 90 because I was sicker than most. I needed 2 a day. And I finally got my real 90 and 90. You know, I got my 90 days, which was a miracle. I didn't even think I'd ever see a week. Through me getting clean, I've had to learn that, you know, it is promised a new way of life. You know, that's what we're promised by this program. And I'm not one of them NA Nazis. You know, if you get yours AA, NA, CA, I don't care how you get it. You know, if you're recovering, recover. You know, I'm a firm believer in that. I've seen people that are very close friends of mine try it in NA and not make it, and then go to another fellowship and thrive. You know, so however you can get your recovery, get it. I'm a firm believer. If you're recovering and you're getting better every day, then do what you need to do for you and yours. That being said, you know, I found my home in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, today, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. But you know, I wasn't always the person I am today. You know, I had no integrity when I first came into these rooms. You know, I thought I could still middleman some shit here and there. I'd be all right. You know,
Yeah.
I did that once or twice. Didn't feel right though. You know, something had changed in me. You know, and this is just me being real. You know, something changed in me. I just couldn't do that no more. I couldn't hook somebody up with something. So I tried to change some things. You know, they said I only had to change one thing. That was everything. And that really fucked me up. So I've been, even today, after 34 months, I'm still grieving losing the person I was my whole life. You know what I mean? Losing them 20+ year connections and friendships. I thought they was friends. Really, they wasn't nothing, because when I stopped doing what they needed me to do, or I stopped having what they needed from me, they disappeared. So, you know, today I'm truly blessed. I have real friends, real family, you know, people that love me and just want to see me succeed in life, for nothing more than to just see me succeed. And I do the same for them, you know, because I never talked to anybody unless I wanted something from them or was getting something from them. You know, I could never have a female relationship with somebody. And this is true up until 10 months ago. Okay. Now I'm talking about over 2 years clean, and I still couldn't have a relationship with a female without having ulterior motives. You know, the only reason why I talked to you was because I had something else in mind, you know, and I'm going to tell you when the change happened, because in NA, they just say you have to find your higher power. Okay. Well, when I first got here, I went through a few higher powers, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I learned that that's okay. I did what I needed to do to get where I needed to get to. And it kept me clean through the time. But about 10 months ago, you know, I came to believe in who I call my God now. And I don't, you know, I'm not prejudiced towards anybody else. This is just what I need for my higher power. And that's God, Jesus Christ. That's my savior. Okay. When I accepted my true higher power, and that's my true higher power, because when I accepted him into my life and asked him to come into my heart and heal me, it was like I was standing under a waterfall and everything was just washed off of me. And as it was being washed off, that void that I've been trying to fill with money, drugs, women, sex, everything that I've been trying to fill this with my entire life was being filled at the same time. You know, that's how I knew that I found what I've been looking for my whole life. That's when, you know, but that's where I'm at today. Okay. Now I have a little bit of integrity. I don't live, when I say I'm living clean, I mean, I'm living clean in every aspect of my life today. Now that wasn't always the truth. You know, when I first got into recovery, I got into recovery out of a relationship. Now I'm very codependent. I found out, you know, I've been in relationships since I can remember. It was always one relationship right to the next. I was leaving this one for the next one. You know, I was leaving her for a friend or a sister or cousin or somebody, you know what I mean? I always had somebody on the back burner ready, or they was already right there ready. I came into recovery in a relationship that me and that person had used together for 5 years. You know, we got busted together. We was going to be the ones that made it though. You know what I mean? We was going to beat the odds, you know. We was going to stay together. We stayed together for the first year of our clean time, and then realized that we just didn't like the people that we was with. You know, I didn't care for her. She didn't care for me. The only reason why we stayed together so long was because of the buffer that we had there at all times, the drugs that just wouldn't fix anything at any point in time. We just hated each other. We just tolerated each other basically at the end. That relationship ended, and it's suggested that we wait at least a year. I never heard that at least. Okay. I never heard that at least. I just heard I needed to stay out of a relationship for the first year. So I was like, well, shit, I already got a year under the belt, you know, so I'm good to go. I'd worked some steps, you know, I was going, and what that first step did for me, y'all, and I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but for me, what it did was showed me exactly who I was in active addiction. And it also showed me who I could be without the use of drugs. And that's just what it did for me. It was like an epiphany, man. I was awakened. I was woke up by the first step, you know, because I got real in that first step and honest, brutally honest with myself. And it took me a little bit to work that step because I was real. I would reread the questions. I would look up definitions to words I thought I knew, but I wanted to make sure I was doing it because when I got into early recovery, let's see, this is what I'm talking about. Bounce all around. This is how my brain works. I had a nudge from a judge to come in, but I started attending meetings early because my lawyer said that would make me look better. Okay, but my last court date was June 10th. That's how I know that was my clean day, because I didn't go to court under the influence, and I knew once I got put on probation, I seen that judge that last time. That was it. It was KO'd for me using. I couldn't do it no more. He wasn't going to tolerate it. Anyway, so I had to do counseling. I had to do all these classes and everything else, but that's okay because honestly, I had a lot of issues that caused me to want to use. You know, I had depression, PTSD, anxiety, you know, bipolar disorder, a bunch of other bullshit, you know, that I was dealing with that I never actually dealt with. I self-medicated my entire life. I just tried to numb everything out. The steps of Narcotics Anonymous showed me that stuff. You know what I mean? It put it into perspective for me. I also did a lot of rigorous counseling. And like I said, I did classes and everything. The first 9 months of my clean time, man, I was in counseling 5 days a week. I seen 3 different counselors, 2 different psychiatrists. Plus I did classes 5 times a week and Narcotics Anonymous meetings 7 times a week. Well, 7 days a week. You know, I did them 2 a day for 7 days. That don't leave much time to work. You know what I mean? There wasn't no time to work, but you know, my higher power seen that I needed that stuff and he provided. Somehow I still found time to work and, you know, be blessed with enough money and enough time to survive, you know, to make a living that allowed me to continue to do what I was doing. You know, I worked the first step and then I had these 2 predecessors, man. They was older ladies that really took me under their wing when I first came to the rooms. And they molded me, man. You know, they're old school and I needed that old school. You know, they gave it to me real. They didn't give me this pampered bullshit that everybody wants today. You know, oh, you hurt my feelings, man. The streets beat me the fuck down for years. You know what I mean? The police wasn't nice to me when they were slamming me up on car hoods and shit. You know? Like, you know what I mean? I was beat the fuck down by the streets. Okay? So I need somebody to tell me real what the fuck's going on. So they would keep it honest and 100. And I love that about them. And they would invite me over to the house. We sit on the front porch. We sit in the backyard. You know what I mean? They would just tell me about recovery and life. And they didn't let me have these false expectations about everything. You know, them and my sponsor both, you know, when I first came in, my sponsor straight told me, hey, bud, I know you're in this relationship, you know, but when you get clean and you got to start finding out things about yourself, you might not like who you're with. You know, she might not, and I'm glad he told me that because that shit might have took me out had I not been already preparing myself for it for almost a year, you know. So, you know, year breaks up, you know, we break up or whatever, I get with another girl, you know what I mean, right away. You know what I mean? Like, good. We start dating a couple weeks later, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. She's over every night. Within a month, I'm living with her. You know what I mean? I got my kids back about 6 months clean. You know what I mean? So, you know, that was my big goal, you know what I mean, was to get my kids back. And today now I have custody of 5 of my children. You know what I mean? I got 10 kids with my wife, man, 10 kids and a grandkid, you know what I mean? But that's my whole life, man. You know what I mean? It's my whole being, the whole reason I'm here. And I'm proud to say that my grandchildren will never have to see me be who I was. You know, it's just, you know, I got right with another girl, you know, moved right in, blah, 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 moved my kids in. You know, I started dating her. Everything was going good, but I didn't feel that connection, you know what I mean? But I still stayed there. Okay. And this is how I know, you know what I mean, I'm a different man today than I was then because I was clean. I wasn't using drugs, you know what I mean? And I was struggling working my second step because my whole life had been insanity. So I couldn't come to believe that somebody could restore sanity to my life when there'd never been sanity in my life before. All I knew was insanity. You know what I mean? 27 years of abuse and just the streets. You know, it wasn't nothing pretty about none of it, you know. So I couldn't come to believe. And, you know, one day this dude disrespected her and shit. And I just showed up and the old me came out and I chased him down the street. You know what I mean? People calling 911 and shit because I was threatening to kick in his house and blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And I'm back on the goon bullshit, you know what I mean? Trying to be a dumbass and I ain't trying to be like no more. But it just took me out my element. Disrespect is one thing I don't really deal with. So I'm chasing dude down the street and, you know, I prayed and stuff, you know, and I didn't really have my higher power I have now, but I had a higher power and he understood me, you know what I mean? So I'm walking down the street chasing this dude because I done put on like 85 pounds since I got clean, you know what I mean? So I'm a big dude now, you know what I mean? So I can't be running and shit all like that. I knew exactly where he was going. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm kicking in your front door and beating everybody up. You know what I mean? That's just how insane I got real quick because I had stopped working a program, to be honest. You know what I mean? I hadn't used, but I stopped attending meetings regularly. The only meeting I attended was my home group once a week. At this point in time, I wasn't in my literature. I wasn't working on my step because I was stuck. And I told my sponsor I was stuck. So because I was stuck, I wasn't reaching out to my sponsor. You know, I wasn't really trying to build that circle of friendships. I had people reaching out to me and stuff, but I'd brush it off, or I'd be like, yeah, I'm good, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was disconnected. I was isolating, didn't even realize I was doing it at that point in time. But I'm walking down the street chasing this motherfucker, man. And I just look up in the sky and I'm like, look, motherfucker, you better do something because I'm fitting to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? Like, just like that. You know what I mean? Just cussing at him and everything, just mad as fuck. And all of a sudden, Carl, I swear for the Lord, bro, I stopped dead in my tracks. I could not move. Like my feet was glued to the concrete. They was part of it. I stopped. I could not move. And I looked up and was like, you fucking right. You know what I mean? Like, you right. And immediately, my whole life, when I got to that angry part where I was just rageful, just seeing red, ready to fuck shit up, I've never been able to come out of that.
Resentment.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was on it, you know, and I told him, motherfucker, you better do something. I'm fitting to fuck shit up. And he stopped me. And I tried to go forward a couple of times and I couldn't move forward. Now I tried to go, my house was like a block back the other way. I was able to turn around and walk away the other way. You know what I mean? So I walked back to my house. I said, I'm shaking. I'm so mad. You know what I mean? But I didn't even try to turn around and go back to the other way because I just felt like, you know what I mean, that anger and rage was taken from me at that split second. I go back to my house. I sit on my couch. 30 seconds later, bro, knock at the door. Police. Like 15 calls in about this dude running down the street, me jumping over the overpass, chasing him through traffic. You know what I mean? Just talking about a madman, talking about dude screaming, call 911 and everything else. Like, and they just listed 20-something felonies I'd have got had I went through with everything that everybody was calling in. You know, and I was like, damn, man, I almost went to prison clean. But I told him, I said, I didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? They said, we know. But that was a wake-up call. So I called my sponsor. That's time. Hey, bud, this is what just happened to me. And he said, huh? He said, so you're doing all this, you know what I mean? And you talk to your higher power? And I was like, yeah. He was like, and then you didn't do it, right? And I was like, no. I mean, I went back home. He was like, so you were in an insane situation, right? And I was like, yeah, I was acting insane. And he was like, but what'd you choose to do? I said, well, I went back home. He was like, well, what's that scene? Because my sponsor likes to let me answer my own questions and figure my own shit out. I love him for it. I need it. You know what I mean? I love him for it. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. So he's like, so what would you say that was? And I was like, well, I mean, the right thing to do. He goes, yeah, but what'd you act? And I was like, well, sane, I guess. And boom, light bulb went off. You know what I mean? That's when I realized that my higher power could restore me to sanity because sanity had been in my life the entire time. I just chose to act insane the entire time.
Come on, baby.
You know what I mean? Like that's when the enlightenment came to me. That night, bro, I finished the second step. Boom. Bled through that shit. It was easy. You know what I mean? Because I came to believe. You know what I mean? I struggled with it, but I came to believe and I worked it. And then you know, after I'd worked my first step, I went to them ladies I was telling you about, and I was kind of resentful towards my sponsor because I'm like, man, he ain't giving me another assignment, man. I'm ready to go. I was gung-ho for this recovery. I have been my whole life. Like, shit, I'm ready to learn something. And they're like, well, what'd you do? And I was like, well, I went over my first step with them. And they was like, well, are you living the first step? And I'm like, huh? And they're like, are you living the first step? Are you applying them spiritual principles you learned and everything you learned in the first step to your life every day, inside and outside the rooms, in all aspects? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, that's your assignment now. Now you got to live that. You know what I mean? So then I realized that after I work a step and I go over it with my sponsor, my job is then to start living that step, applying the spiritual principles that I learned in that step to everyday life. You know, I'm living with that same girl, man, and I'm still sick. Even though I work second step, you know what I mean? I'm still a sick individual. I still got character defects. I still got old behaviors. Even though I'm learning a new way to live, I still got old behaviors that's coming out. So I had an old side piece from the back in the day hit me up. And then I got a girlfriend and a side piece again, you know, clean, living wrong. I got my girlfriend watching my 5 kids while I'm going to meetings with my other girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, just not living right, man. You know what I mean? And here's the sickest part, bro. I was telling everybody she's my sister. I mean, that's how, I swear.
It's real, though.
That's how sick I was, though. You know what I mean? I didn't think everybody'd ever figure it out. You know what I mean? Well, that lasted for a couple months. You know what I mean? But here's the difference, Carl. Something had changed inside of me, bro. No. Something had changed inside of me. Man, it didn't feel right inside.
Yeah, your conscience.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually had remorse and guilt and shame for what I was doing. I felt bad that I was leaving her at home with my kids while I was running off with this other girl. I felt bad for the other girl because she was the side girl and knew it. You know, I felt bad for myself that I was putting myself through all that stress. It didn't feel right no more. Anyway, man, I ended up ending it. You know what I mean? I broke up with her. I was like, look, I need to just be single. You know, I broke up with her. I moved out. I ended up getting in a relationship with the side girl, you know, thinking I was going to be okay. You know what I mean? That didn't work out. That didn't even last a month. Okay. But that's where I was, man. So that didn't last a month. I ended up just staying single from there on. You know what I mean? I wasn't even looking for a relationship. That relationship, even though it only lasted a month, not even a month, almost took me back out. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, it almost did. Like, it was bad. You know, she went back out, started using. It almost took me back out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, she ended up passing on from the disease. You know, she couldn't get back out of the grips. You know what I mean? And she rests in heaven now. But that relationship almost took me out, and it made me act out. You know, I became very resentful towards her because she was lying. She was deceitful. She was robbing me and my kids and stuff. You know what I mean? It was just a bad situation. And it made me very resentful. So I wasn't practicing no kind of spiritual principles. I was going into meetings, dogging her out, you know what I mean? Knowing everybody knew who I was talking about, even though I wasn't saying the name, they knew exactly who I was talking about. I made it where she didn't feel welcome in the meetings. And then my sponsor about put a foot up my ass and told me, you know what I mean? He kept it real with me. Like, dude, that ain't how you do shit. You're the one working a program. You gotta have some acceptance. You know, who are you to not give her forgiveness when she's stuck in active addiction? And you know this, you know what I mean? And you're denying her. Now she ain't going to want to come back into the rooms. Man, that humbled me. That humbled the fuck out of me. It humiliated me that I acted like that, first of all. You know what I mean? And then it humbled me. And I went into the rooms and I you know, made a public apology because I humiliated her publicly. So I made a public apology. And I reached out and, you know, apologized. And then she came back into the room. She just never stuck around. You know what I mean? But that being said, you know, I just kept going, man. I actually had to work my third step like 3 times because I kept losing my notebooks because I'm so scatterbrained, man. I'd write it before I could get with my sponsor, man. I'd lose it. Lose a step. I've bought like 4 step working guides because I can't keep hold of them, man. I got them now. You know what I mean? I got a whole place for them. I got a whole bookshelf for all my Serenity. It's got everything, all the NA books on there that I could ever want, you know. It's got everything. That's my little Serenity bookcase there that I go to. You know what I mean? I've come a long way, though. You know, like I said, after that whole situation, right after that, man, is right after that situation with her is when I actually came to believe in my higher power. You know, that's when I I acquired some integrity, you know, and I started being the same person inside and outside the rooms. Now, the type of person I used to buy EBT food stamps from people because, you know what I mean, they wasn't giving them to me. I was making too much, but I got 5 kids. I need that shit.
Yeah,
you know
greedy.
what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Greed.
Selfish and all that.
Gluttonous. I needed it.
Self-centered.
Yeah.
Egotistical.
Yep. I had people that I knew was in active addiction. Yep. I had people that was in active addiction stealing products for me, being boosters for me, knowing I'm feeding their addiction, but I didn't think there was nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? That's who I was.
Living dirty.
Yes, he living dirty.
That's a topic.
It took fellow recovering addicts, because we are each other's eyes and ears. You know what I mean? It took people that had been by me and seen my growth and my changes, and people that I trusted, you know, them to tell me the truth. That was like, man, do you think that's really living clean? Like, are you really trying to help people? Because they knew at that point in time I wanted to help people. You know what I mean? That's my whole purpose. I want to help people. I've been in the dark. You know what I mean? I made it to the light. Now let me come back with a flashlight and show you there's a way out. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at today in my life. And that's where I was at that point in time, but I didn't see that I was still living dirty, you know, and they pointed it out to me, and I was like, fuck, man, you're right. You know what I mean? I'm feeding that devil. I'm feeding that disease that's keeping them sick, you know? So honestly, I can say it's been over 10 months. I ain't bought a stolen tool or stolen anything. I ain't bought no food stamps, no nothing. I live how I'm supposed to today. You know what I mean? I am actually living clean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the last 10 months, you know what I mean? But it wasn't always like that, man. You know, I had to make mistakes and learn from them, you know what I mean? But they were life lessons, because I didn't make a mistake, have it pointed out to me like, hey, do you think that's right? And then just keep doing the same shit. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be better, and it is a program of progression, not perfection. So yeah, I did fuck up. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll be the first to tell you, you know what I mean, that I've only done 2 things right since I came into Narcotics Anonymous, Carl, and that's not picked up no matter fucking what and kept coming back. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only fucking 2 things I've done right the whole time, I can promise you. Everything else flushed down the toilet because it's bullshit.
We met in Niagara Falls, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I played my music for you.
Yeah, you got some good music, and yeah, man, like, you got some experience to carry to somebody that was living dirty and like in and out of relationships, and like, that's kind of my story, man. If you heard me share, it's kind of my story with the image that we come up in the mask, and certain behaviors, you know, we just don't want to let go, and the conscience is eating at our spirit, and like, we're trying to let go, and like, we're trying to fill this like spiritual void, like, it's all kind of stuff, really.
Yeah,
the image and the behaviors, and God's like, look, man, I'm revealing some stuff to you that you ain't, you know what I mean, you got to go through, and like, you came out clean, man, and like, damn, wow.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it, man. And you know, I was so in tune with selling drugs and doing drugs that I never been to a professional sports game of any kind. You know what I mean? I'd never been to a concert of any kind, because that interfered with me trafficking drugs and getting mine for free. You know what I mean? It was a 24/7 day job. You know what I mean? So I was over, man, I was like 2+ years clean before I went kayaking for the first time in my life. Like, I did a lot of things. I've done a lot of things. Recovery has granted me and blessed me with so many things that I never experienced in life. And the first concert I ever went to was It Takes a Tour, 2019, seeing Kalichi and all them, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there like, I follow them. I fucks with them, because that's, I don't try to listen to the trap music, you know what I mean, that I used to listen to, because that keeps me in a negative mind state. Today, I want to listen to something that motivates me to the new life I'm trying to do, and that's what their music is. You know what I mean? It's all about being clean, being spiritual, being a part of your God, you know what I mean? So that's what I try to surround myself with, is that kind of music. And my best friend, Big John, you know what I mean? Shout out, homie. We sitting there, and I'm singing along with him, rapping with him and stuff. And he's like, man, he had heard some of my stuff, and he's like, why ain't you doing this? You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know. I never thought of that stuff. You know what I mean? And man, we threw that stuff to God. God threw that together for me, man. I ain't even gonna lie. God just put it all together so fast that, you know what I mean, we seen them and it wasn't even, you know what I mean, 2 weeks later and already had a studio set up and a way to record and everything else. It was right before it was actually December 31st, 2019. I dropped my first song, Anonymous. You know what I mean? And I still talk to B Rain and all them, you know what I mean? And it was just, he blessed me, and it ain't me speaking, you know what I mean? When I'm writing these songs, it's him speaking through me, because I wouldn't know how to do that. You know what I mean? It's him speaking through me now. Mine's a mess, you know what I mean? But, you know, he gave me a talent, you know what I mean, in a way to articulate words and put them in a way to try to help somebody, I feel like. And that's all I'm trying to do today, is get it out there. And I'm not trying to, you know, I really don't care about the fame. I don't care about making money on it or nothing. That's why I put all my stuff out there for free. You know, I just want to help people out today, man. And, you know, I have a sponsor that has a sponsor that has a sponsor. We all work Narcotics Anonymous steps. You know, I've met all my sponsors, you know what I mean, all the way up the lineage as far as I can, you know what I mean, go, like great grand sponsor and shit. You know what I mean? We're a very close-knit family. You know, I actually have 8 sponsees myself now, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to help them, you know, show them the way. You know, I feel honored that they even asked me to, you know, do that for them. You know, you met me in Niagara Falls. I'm from Marion, Ohio. You know what I mean? I travel for this recovery, man. I travel to get man. And shit, you know what I mean? So I'm going to travel for this recovery. I'm going to chase this recovery the way I chase that next flip, or I chase that next high, or I chase that next middleman shit, so I could get something free out of it. You know, I have a huge circle of people in my life today. The first meeting I ever walked into was the New Hope meeting in Marion, Ohio. And it had been going on for like 30-something years. 34 years, I think they had their anniversary or whatever that year that I walked in there. Man, it's been my home group since. And it actually came to a point in time where it was just me and my dude keeping the doors open. You know what I mean? And man, I'm proud to say that we stuck with it. We changed a little bit of stuff in the format and whatnot. But bro, we got 14 active home group members today. And we actually sponsor another home group it's our home group, but it's sponsored by us. It's a Fueled by Hope meeting, you know what I mean? And it's a Friday night meeting. So ours is Wednesday and the other one's Friday. Man, and it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of starting a meeting and watching it grow and flourish, you know what I mean? And just have so many people actively involved with it and just wanting to be a part of, you know what I mean? Our circle is so huge. Man, it's just, there's so much love in our circle, man. And our circle is not a closed circle. We always open it up and invite in more people because it's the unity in this program. You know what I mean? Like, we don't care what it is. We meet, we practice social distancing, but we'll meet at a park or whatever through this whole COVID stuff, man, and just walk down through the trails or whatever, just sit around and talk recovery. You know what I mean? Like, we stay very connected, man. I'm blessed.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man, getting up born here and having the willingness, you know, to carry the message, man. You definitely touch some people, man, hit on some key points, and definitely got a good story, man. And keep doing what you're doing, man. God, you know what I mean? God's gonna guide you. He's gonna grab you when he's ready, you know what I mean, for you to flourish and shine. Like, you're at your shining point right now. Like, he's going to put all that together for you, because, you know what I mean, he put that together for me on here. And like I tell people, man, like I told you, like, I don't care how many people's in the room. Like, the people who's in the room needed to be touched. That's who needed to be there. And that's how I believe that. I mean, I used to get 180 people on here at one time. And when you're at the peak of 10,000 followers, Facebook shuts your organic reach down. For real. They do. So they want you to feed. They want you to pay. Well, the people that needed to be on here was on here tonight. Thank you so much for coming on, man, having a wellness. I'm about to get going and do some step work. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, brother.
Much love, man. My man. Man, just dropped it on y'all, baby. You know, I'm about to chill, go to the store, like I said. Still got these bracelets. You know, y'all want some? We still got these bracelets. They're home fast. Y'all want some? I'll be doing a video tomorrow. Come through, support. Bracelets, $3 a piece. Y'all have really look out, man. And I really appreciate y'all so much for looking out, man, from the bottom of my heart.